What is happening, everybody? This is the epic Jakejames Lugo here from thecoalition.com. This is episode 2 of the quarterly report. I'm hanging around with the editor-in-chief, Mr. Richard Bailey. How you doing, my dude? This
Uh-oh.
little technical difficulties there. Can you hear us, Rich? You all right?
How's it going, viewers and listeners? Just chilling, talking about some games.
Yeah, there you go. I thought we lost you for a second, but it's okay. We're good. Now,
Yes,
next
can you
to him we
hear
got...
me?
Yeah, exactly. So now, next to him we got Mr. Gary Swaby, also of thecoalition.com. How you been?
Hey, what's up? Good to be on another quarterly report. Looking forward to the show.
It's a lot of fun stuff we got to talk about today, man. By the way, just a real quick thought. It's weird now talking to you on camera again ever since E3. Because you sound almost the exact same way that you do in person as you do over the mic.
Yeah,
Like,
it's good to meet you as well, man. I was looking forward to meeting you because I knew you was like a fun guy and everything. So we had a lot of fun out there at E3.
oh, hell yeah. And then
Oh,
next to him we got a special guest. We got Mr. Tony Polanco from over at Dualshockers. How you been, Tony?
I'm doing good, guys. It was good to meet you too, Mr.
Yes.
James.
Oh, hell
You already, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I got to meet Rich and Gary before. That's always a lot of fun. You guys are always kicking ass, and thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to talking about some games.
Yes, a lot of what we saw at E3 is going to factor into what we're going to talk about. You know, we're gonna kind of do a little review of this was it past quarter, and then we're also going to do a couple predictions going into next quarter. Before we get into that, you know, let's kick things off. First, what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about our best picks of this past quarter, which are the releases now from I believe it's April to was it June.
Yep.
Right now, all the games that are at least released up to that point. Okay, leading up right into the end of June and going into July. We're going to talk about the best. We're going to talk about the worst, our picks, and then we'll talk about some predictions for next quarter, which games we think are going to come out on top. So I'll kick things off, start things off. You know, I'll say my three best that I actually played this quarter, some new releases. I got to play Titanfall, which I thought was like a big game. You know, it made a lot of stir amongst everybody in the media as well as, you know, in the industry, both on Xbox One, also on Xbox 360, and as well as on PC. The version I got to play was the PC version. It was dope. I thought it was a lot of fun. It reminded me heavily of Call of Duty 4. Other game that I got to play, which I thought was the best of this quarter, even though when I reviewed it, I didn't give it a high score, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, which was a really kind of like a crazy, quirky fighting game set in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime universe. Very similar to like stuff from Naruto Ultimate Ninja, but done not as well. But it was still a pretty fun game and interesting thing to see. And then finally, the third and last best one that I got to play was Blaze Blue Chrono Phantasma, which recently just came out on the PlayStation Vita. Again, much like the console version, plays very similarly to it, like the past games in the series. Very, very cool character design, awesome 2D artwork and 2D sprites, great moves, some flashy combos. If you're an anime fan or if you played the past Blaze Blue games, you're definitely going to be satisfied here. So let's move on over to Rich here. Rich, you know.
I have a question real quick about
Okay, yeah, sure. What's up?
with Blaze Blue, is that a remake or is it an original game for the Vita?
No, it is a port. It is a straight up port where they have a couple little extra nuances for the PlayStation Vita, but essentially it's the same exact game that was on consoles.
How does it control with the Vita? Are there any touch controls or is it all just
No, most of it's done through face buttons or whatnot. Most of the Vita stuff that's exclusive isn't really done with the touchscreen. A lot of the Vita exclusive stuff is like that last game, which I forgot the name of it. Was it Calamity Trigger, and I forgot the last one that was right before this one. But in that version of it for the Vita, they actually had like an extra mode that you actually get to play. It was kind of like a little bit of a domination mode where you fight against different NPCs or different computer-controlled characters or whatnot, and it got a little bit deep here and there. But essentially, it's the same exact game. And it's saying a lot because it looks really beautiful on the Vita. It looks really good. It plays good. It was awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah. But let's move on over to Rich. So, Rich, tell us some of your best games of this quarter.
Well, let me just go ahead and say now, wasn't really too impressed with what came out in April, but May, couple games that month that I really drew my attention. For starters, let's go ahead and start with Super Time Force, made by Cappy Games. a capybara, whichever one you want to call them. Pretty much, game is I had a lot of fun with that game. It's an indie game made by the same people who are working on Below. It came out on Xbox One. It may be coming out to PlayStation, but it's a timed exclusive for the time being. Just like a little platformer, 2D, pixelated art style. And basically the whole premise was there was a team that would go back in time to try to rewrite history. Like they had a mission where you had to go back and prevent stop the dinosaurs from becoming extinct. These type of scenarios they have. Was a very fun game, very, very funny writing. The way that they wrote it, the way they made the characters is just very comedic. So I enjoyed that for sure. Then my next game would be Transistor. I'm pretty sure some of you guys played this game as well. But I just want to say it's made by Supergiant Games, the same people who made Bastion.
Yeah.
Yes, that game is awesome. I mean, everything about that game is awesome. It is a turn-based RPG, but the art design, the music, the narration, everything about that game is awesome. I don't have anything bad to say about it at all. Thoroughly enjoyed that game. I have no idea if it'll be out on Xbox One at some point. PC and PlayStation 4 is what it's out on now, so everybody should check that out. Definitely if they're interested. And last but certainly not least, and I have to say this is the best game that I enjoyed, for May, without a doubt, hands down, is Wolfenstein: The New Order. Now, I wrote a review for this, which is on the site now that you guys can check out if you want to get more of my thoughts on the game, but I'll just say this. I had an opportunity to play it at PAX East. The first 3 levels I played at PAX East. When I played that game in the beginning, really didn't get a feel for the story. Prior to playing it at PAX East, when I finally got a chance to play it and I saw how they overlaid the story on top of the mechanics, it definitely is an old school shooter, but it has an excellent story. There's nothing else you can say about it. The characters are great. You get a chance to know a lot of the characters, a lot more fleshed out than other games, where you don't get to really know the characters all that much. And the way they ended it, they can very, very well have a sequel. I'm not going to spoil the ending. I'm just going to say, though, the way they ended it, job well done. Fun game. So anybody who is thinking about getting the game, I heard it's on sale right now at Best Buy for $40. You definitely should pick this game up if you're a shooter fan. Definitely worth the time. Now, it's no multiplayer. Some people may not like that, but for a single-player campaign, it's well worth the price. So check it out. And
All right, cool. Interesting. So now let's shoot it over to Gary. Gary, some of your best games of this quarter, your picks, your top games.
Okay, so first I'm gonna go with Child of Light by Ubisoft. I played that on PS4. I actually reviewed the game too, so check that out on the site. I was really impressed with the game. I love the art style. It's using the Rayman engine, and I always thought those games were beautiful themselves. And I'm really into my RPGs, and it's got a turn-based combat system, so I really enjoyed that too. So yeah, that's my first pick. My second pick is going to be Wolf Among Us. I believe episode 3 and 4 came out last quarter, but since we can only pick one thing, I'll just go with the latest episode, episode 4. And the reason I really enjoy this game is because, before playing Wolf Among Us, I had no knowledge of the Fable comics, which is the source material basically for Wolf Among Us. And after playing, I really got deeply into the story and the whole world and everything. And Telltale, they really have a talent for storytelling, especially interactive storytelling. So yeah, I really enjoy their games. The Walking Dead as well. But my third pick is going to be Watch Dogs. Now, I know this might be controversial for some because a lot of people thought that it was a disappointment, but I actually really, really enjoy the game. I do recognize that there are parts of it that could have been way better had they spent more time on the game. And obviously, the graphics have been kind of downscaled since 2012. But I don't hold that against the game, because it is, if you're in the right frame of mind when you play it, if you have like the right thought process going into it and understand that this is not GTA, and you just play it for what it's supposed to be, which is like a stealthy open world action, thriller basically. I mean, the story is not as strong as it could have been, but from a fun standpoint, I have a lot of fun with the game, and I like the whole hacker theme and everything, and I think I'm just a big fan of Ubisoft games. Period. So, yeah, that's my third pick.
Nice. What platform did you play Watch Dogs on, by the way?
I played Watch Dogs on PS4.
Yeah. Did you notice any of the like exclusive content or whatnot?
Yeah, I've actually played one of the exclusive missions. I believe it's like a series of side missions or something. I've played the first one, I believe, but I haven't played the rest yet. You're muted, by the way. Did you say something?
No, no, that was just me like talking to
Okay.
somebody else. Anyway, so moving on, let's go over to you, Tony. Some of the best games that you talked to, that you got to play this quarter. Which one stood out to you the most?
I find it hilarious how two of my fucking games Gary already talked about, and I gotta say it in a different way. So I'm gonna start off with no particular order. This one caught me by surprise. I was handed this for review, and I'm like, okay, I'll play it. It's called Murdered Soul Suspect by Square Enix. It's a very interesting kind of game because it's like we play games where you have to solve murders and stuff, but in this game you have to solve your own murders since you play as a ghost. And I really like the whole detective angle of it. You got to just investigate all the clues. I like how you could go from the spirit world into like the real world and like do things like face through objects and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. And I like how the game, yeah, like basically there was these side missions where you had to help people cope with the fact that they're dead and help them come to peace so they could move on to the other world. Those were really cool. I kind of felt really good about doing that. And I mean, the game wasn't like a big budget game or anything, but it was just a lot of fun and it really stood out. The next one I picked was Child of Light, which this game I was looking forward to ever since it was announced. Like Gary said, UbiArt framework is an amazing engine. So just to have another game running on that was just like a feast for the eyes. And yeah, the RPG stuff was great, turn-based, pure turn-based too, which I really like. And the whole thing about the game that I really enjoyed the most was the rhyming of it. Every single line of dialogue rhymes. Like, think about how crazy that is, people. Like, you got to, like, write all this stuff, make it all rhyme, and make it all sense. Not only is it for, did that work in English, they had to do it for every single language under the sun, basically. So that's pretty nuts. And, yeah, that game, it's just something about it that's kind of hard to explain, but very, very good game. And the last one, another controversial one, Watch Dogs. This game, I kind of had my expectations in check when I was playing it because I knew that the graphics weren't as good as it was in that E3 demo. I mean, dude, if you still watch that E3 demo, you're still like, holy shit, this is amazing. I knew I wasn't getting that, but what you do get is a really cool open world game with a pretty unique twist since you could basically manipulate the entire city around you. I thought that was a really cool thing, and I never got bored of it. The story was kind of like, I didn't like it. It was kind of stupid. To me, the side quests, that's what made the game really stand out. And just causing all this crazy shit to happen, it was a lot of fun. I played that for hours on end. And Spider Tank, people, play the Spider Tank mission. That is ridiculous amount of fun right there. And yeah, those are three picks.
Let me ask you, like, since that teaser trailer back at E3, all the way back then a couple years ago, do you think that game ended up living up to the hype as a total package?
As a total package, no, it definitely did not live up to the hype. I think what happened is that game was kind of put in a bad spot because that game was like the only big game that was shown off that year besides Star Wars 1313, and everybody was like, because think about it, you had a whole E3 of nothing but a bunch of remakes or sequels, and you have this one game that just stands out, and you're like, oh my god. So, and then the game was delayed so many times that the hype kept building and building and building. So by the time it came out, the hype was too unrealistic. I think the game would have benefited if it would have been released maybe a year after that, not like 3 years afterwards or whatever it turned out to be. I think that the hype actually kind of, in a way, killed the game for a lot of people. I think if they would have scaled back their expectations, they would have seen it for what it is, a really cool open world game. I really believe that this game was a victim of its own hype.
I could agree with that. It sounds like because a lot of people were pretty much very disappointed in it, and like again, like you said, just the delay after delay after delay. Even talking about the PS4 bundle that was like heavily anticipated at one point.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any way that game could have lived up to the hype of what we all thought it was going to be. And I think it's much more like how you said because that was one of the very few original games at E3 that year, and it was such a change of pace for everybody. So it kind of brought us up high. We were just expecting great things, and it probably didn't deliver as much as it should have.
Yeah,
But with
but
that
I
being
would
said,
say
yeah,
that
but
sold very, very well though. So just keep that in mind too.
definitely, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna end up making another game because of that. Should
Oh
be
yeah.
pretty nuts. With that being said, let's move on to some of the crap of this year. Some of our worst picks of this quarter, and I'll just kick it off. Basically, even though it's an older game that got remade, this was pretty much hands down the worst release of this quarter. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, which was pretty much a re-release from the Vita version of the game for the consoles for PlayStation 3. And this game is still bad. This game is still horrible. This is one of the most confused and kind of ADD type of games as far as like what type of genre it wants to be. And exactly also it contributes nothing to the Arkham franchise. It's supposed to tell the story a little bit to kind of connect things from like Batman Arkham Origins and answer some of the unanswered questions from that to the first Arkham Asylum, and it does none of that. It doesn't actually to contribute anything good to the franchise. It doesn't add any new gameplay elements. Doesn't really add any like good combat scenarios. Anything more substance to the characters or whatnot. It's really the first time where he kind of comes into contact with Catwoman, and that's like an interesting premise on paper, but just the execution is just so horrible, and it's just as bad as how the Vita version was. And I really question why is it that the game like this actually was given time and resources to actually be remade for the consoles. And the only other answer I could come up with is just to keep everybody's appetite whetted until Arkham Knight comes out, which is again just to keep everybody situated till that game drops. But hands down, worst release of this quarter for me.
Hold on, I gotta say this though. That's horseshit because didn't that game come out at the same time as Origins? So it wasn't really made to satiate anybody's appetite, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that Origins in of itself was really just to whet everybody's appetite, so that way, again, until Arkham Knight could get officially announced and whatnot, because, again, this was the game that everybody knew that wasn't done by Rocksteady. And apparently, originally the rumor was that it was supposed to be a Silver Age type of game, but it ended up being like something completely different, and again, just not one of the best entries in the franchise. Blackgate, though, is even worse than that because it's a game that everybody thought it was going to be one thing as far as like genre-wise, as far as like a Metroidvania type of style of game, but it ended up being like a shadowy, broken version of that. And it was just completely horrible. But anyway,
shame, man. That's a damn shame.
oh yeah, it was a damn shame the game was even made. But that's just me. With that being said, okay, Rich, your worst game of this quarter.
Well, this is going to be very controversial. I don't know if I'm going to say it's the worst game, but I have to say, as far as this was already addressed, as far as the hype goes, I was one of the unfortunate people that got a little too hyped for Watch Dogs. So when I started playing the game, I was like, okay, it's okay. The graphics definitely different from everything that we've seen prior, but that's fine. As I started to play a little bit more, I started to see a few things that annoyed me. Some of the repetition of some of the missions got to be a little bit too much of that. Plus, of course, the main character, very bland and dull, and that killed it for me. I'm not saying the game is horrible. I'm just saying that certain things kind of put me off from doing the game. I don't like the way they set up the online, how you have to do these online contracts where you can just randomly get contacted about a contract right in the middle of a mission. That was a little annoying as well because sometimes I wouldn't be able to find the people that I was looking for. Now, eventually, when I got good at that, it's a different story. But I feel like this game had a ton of potential. I did not like the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, this is a game, I know you don't want to make that comparison but these are both games that are like set in an open world environment. And I'll be honest, when I played Grand Theft Auto 5, I was pretty blown away. I said, okay, this is awesome. Maybe it's not, deserve to be like a perfect game, but it was pretty damn near close to perfect. Once I played Watch Dogs, I appreciate Grand Theft Auto a hell of a lot more, and I'd be like, well, if I'm going to compare both, well, yeah, this is perfect because everything they did in that game, it's like way above what they try to do in Watch Dogs. Take for one other example with the driving. The driving in particular is one of the things about Watch Dogs I find very disappointing because you're driving a vehicle, you come into a crash, it's not really the right sound effects or certain that just doesn't feel right when you're driving a car, as opposed to obviously when you're playing Grand Theft Auto, you're driving a car, it's a totally different experience. So I know it's not right to compare to both of the games because they're different games, but I just had a little bit more expectations for Watch Dogs. So unfortunately, I was a victim of the hype, saying, okay, this game is going to be excellent. But already know there will be a sequel, so I expect the sequel to be better. But unfortunately for me, I have to say, yeah, I wasn't too impressed.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
is it okay if I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, I just find it funny because I picked it as one of my best games for the quarter. Every negative thing that Richard said, I absolutely agree with. I think the driving was shit in the game. It really was. The online was annoying. It's like, dude, I'm doing a mission. Don't bother me with this shit.
There was no option to turn that off at all.
No, I don't know if there is or not. I just kept it on, but yeah, that was really annoying. But yeah, you're right about that. It's like the driving took me like a good 3 or 4 hours to actually get down because every time I would make a turn, it would like what the hell is going on here? I'm like, did I forget how to game? What's happening here? And then a week after I beat the game, I was like, I don't know why I got the itch. Maybe it was a subconscious itch. I was like, let me play Grand Theft Auto 5 again. And I tweeted this out. I'm like, the shittiest controlling car in GTA controls better than the best controlling car in Watch Dogs.
That's hilarious. Oh, man.
But again, if I were to compare the two, it would just be unfair because GTA 5 blows Watch Dogs away. But yeah, I just find that funny that every single complaint you had, Rich, every single complaint, I completely agree with you with, man. Completely agree.
I mean, let's be clear. Like, if GTA 5, the next gen version had come out this quarter too, I would definitely choose that over Watch Dogs. Like, but by far. But and everything Rich said about Watch Dogs is accurate. But I guess it's just for me personally, it's just like when I play it, I try not to think about GTA. I just try to look at it for what Ubisoft are trying to do.
Yeah.
And that makes me enjoy the game more. I don't try to compare it to anything else. I just take it for what it is. And it's actually pretty fun. There's lots wrong with it, of course, but for a first game in the series, a new IP, I find it fun personally, and I'm just a big fan of the whole hacker concept for one thing.
Yeah, me too.
Deus Ex, Human Revolution, yeah. I love that too. So.
Dude, it's funny you bring that up because I've sold people on that. They're like, what is this game like? They're like, it's like Deus Ex and Grand Theft Auto. Sold.
There you go. That's the best comparison you can really put it much to. The most part. But speaking of you, Gary, let me ask you, what was your worst game of this quarter? Like, what was the one that was just like utter crap?
Okay, now this one, it really hurt me. Okay, The Elder Scrolls Online.
Here we go. I can hear David raging right now.
Oh yeah. Well, no, David doesn't like it either. Both of us are Elder Scrolls fanboys. Me and David. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this game is, it's based on the Elder Scrolls series. You have all that lore at your disposal. This game should have been like the most perfect MMO ever, but instead it's just like it's just a cardboard cutout MMO with the Elder Scrolls name on it, basically. Like, it should have been way better. It should have been so much better. Like this, I mean, you don't have to remake Skyrim, and put it into an MMO. That's not what we wanted. We wanted them to, fully utilize all of the lore, all of the stories, all of the history and everything that's involved with the Elder Scrolls, and put it in an MMO format that's fun and it's fun and easy for people to play as a community. create a community, because that is kind of what the Elder Scrolls world is about. You go to different towns and stuff. There's communities, and obviously, if you go into the wilds, you get attacked and all that stuff. But I mean, the game should have been so much better than it turned out to be. And the subscription model as well. That I kind of see that as a barrier.
That was a huge problem that they should have never did for that game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got games like Guild Wars 2. That's a buy-to-play game. You buy it once, never pay again. You got games like Neverwinter. That's completely free to play. And it's just you can't match that value. And I don't know, man. This game, it should have just been so much better. And I'm really disappointed.
Sad face for that one, I bet.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Tony, your worst game of this quarter, like, is your pick as bad as these guys?
All right, I got those guys beat. Trust me on it. But I should say to the fans that this is really supposed to be the game that you were expecting something of and got disappointed by. I didn't have any game that fit that criteria, so I just picked the shittiest game I played. And I reviewed this too, and I got a lot of heat from the fans of the series. Drakengard 3 was pure.
Oh yeah, I remember when you were complaining about that. Oh man, that was hilarious.
Oh my god, what a horrible game! It's like, take everything that I don't like about video games and just throw it in there. Like, you have a story that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, graphics which are PlayStation 2 quality, and best of all, Dynasty Warrior style combat. Jeez, like, dude, I start the game up, there's 15 guys surrounding me with health bars above their heads. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of these, isn't it? So I go up, I kill one guy in 2 hits. I'm like, yep, it's one of these fucking games. And the game just doesn't get better. It's like the main character is this girl who is like horny all the time. She's surrounded by guys who constantly want to have sex with her. Every single line of dialogue is like sexual innuendo. The only character I liked in this game was a fucking dragon. It wasn't even a human being. It's like, what is this shit? I beat the game. I'm like, oh, thank you. The game was actually relatively short. The first playthrough was like 7 hours. I'm like, thank you for ending. And they was like, oh wait, there are alternate paths. I'm like, stop! I don't want to play you anymore. Stop going on. Yeah, horrible game. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Safe to say you won't be trying to get the platinum in that game.
Hell no. I want to take those nunchucks that are behind you and just beat the shit out of you.
Yes. These are the official, nunchucks of exile for bad games. That's what we're going to use them for.
Yeah, that's another game. It's like, yo, people play these games. Why? I don't get it.
People buy these games. Why? I don't get it.
Son, the third one in the series, like, it should have stopped after the first one. I don't know. Maybe they were good before. I don't know. But whatever. I'm getting too amped up now.
So let me ask you the $1 million question. Do you think there'll be a Drakengard 4?
God, probably for the PS4, and it'll still look like a shitty PS2 game.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Series, please.
Kill that series. Well, let's wash all that down with some good predictions, okay? Because again, most of the games that we just talked about now, guys, most of us, we pretty much played. We had some sort of like nuance into it. But now let's talk about predictions, games that aren't out yet. Like, maybe we probably played them when we were over at E3 not so long ago. But some of the games that we think next quarter are going to be the ones that actually shine out. Now, my pick, personally, for next quarter, there's a couple good ones, I will say, that are coming out next quarter that I really think are going to be great games. But the one I think that's going to shine because the last game in the series was so good, Persona 4 Arena Ultramax, which is the second Persona 4 fighting game that's going to be coming out from Atlas. This game, I got to play it at E3. I actually got to play with the voice actors of the game. Really, really fun, really awesome. Again, all the characters, if you're a big Persona 3 and Persona 4 fan, you're going to go nuts over this. You're going to want to play with some of the new characters. It controls very fluidly. Think everything that you love about Blaze Blue, Street Fighter, and Guilty Gear all meshed together, but streamlined, and given a hell of a great soundtrack. I'll tell you that. It's going to be awesome. You guys are not going to want to miss that game. So, Rich, best game of the next quarter, what's your prediction?
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record, but because I know someone else is going to say this, but I got to say it anyway. I think Destiny is going to be the game I'm going to be looking forward to most. I would have said something like, maybe The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us, because the Wolf Among Us last episode is out this month, upcoming. But I think it's going to be Destiny. Only because I had a chance to play it at E3, and I had to leave because I had an appointment. This happened on 2 occasions, because I had 2 different appointments that one appointment I didn't have, the other one I wanted to get an appointment because I remember I went to go see Sunset Overdrive instead of playing Destiny. I don't
Awesome game, by the way.
Oh yeah, I do not regret that at all, because Sunset Overdrive that game is going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
But Destiny, I'm looking forward to that because I didn't get a chance to get in the beta. I did see, I had got in at the very last day, but it had just ended, so I didn't get to play it. So I'm looking forward to that most. I hope it does well, because after hearing how much money Activision spent on this game, it has to do well. So we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, apparently that $500 million marketing budget did not go to any marketing at E3. I'll tell you that right now.
No, it did not. They ain't had
we saw no billboards. We didn't see any giant Destiny. Actually, no, we did see some Destiny vehicles on the floor, I will say. But there was no billboards outside in LA, so let's hope so. Mad suspect about that game. So, Gary, what's going to be your big game that's going to be a hit for next quarter?
Okay, I was going to say Destiny 2, but, I decided to change my mind and go with Theatrhythm, Final Fantasy, Curtain Call.
That was my second damn pick. That game is going to be awesome.
I got to play it at E3, and I'm going with it mainly because it's a game that I know, like, probably not a lot of other people are going to be thinking about, or they're going to have on their minds. So I feel like it's my duty to mention it as a Final Fantasy fan. And for those who don't know what it is, it's a game where it's basically Rock Band for Final Fantasy, the soundtrack. Like, you get to play through all the different songs and stuff throughout the different games in the series. There was a game before the first one, and it just had all the basic music from Final Fantasy 1 through 13. But this next one is going to have stuff from Advent Children, and all the other spin-off Final Fantasy titles, plus everything.
Crystal Chronicles.
The last game. Yeah, Crystal Chronicles 14, I believe, as well. So, yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we get something from 15 also as like a teaser.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. The game it's got a lot of content, man. There's songs, there's like mini games, there's characters you unlock and stuff like that. Like, it's a really fun game to play, especially if you're as invested in Final Fantasy series as I am. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that on the 3DS.
That's going to be an awesome game. I remember when we got to play that at E3, and we were just having a ball with it. Like, for the short time that we were messing with it, I think each one of us, you got to play like 2 songs, right? And I got to play like 1 at the time.
I had to play it twice, man, because I was trying to get that the high score on One Winged Angel, which is Sephiroth's theme song.
Yes, I remember that. It was very cool. It's got a chibi feel to it, but I like it how like the song selection's huge. It's, from my understanding, because you own the first one, that's a big a big improvement over that previous game, apparently.
Oh yeah, this one is a big improvement. It adds a lot of songs that were missed out a lot, like, people think that these songs were missed out from the first game, basically, and they wanted to see them as DLC, but I guess, Square just decided, because there were so many songs, I guess Square just decided, let's release another one, add all the old songs and put in, all these new songs too, and, I'm pretty sure there'll be lots of DLC for Curtain Call as well, so we got a lot of content to look forward to, if you're a fan of that game. So,
nice. Awesome. So, Tony, your biggest game that's going to be awesome next quarter, which one do you think is going to outshine everything?
All right. I'm not going to pick Destiny because I'm not really into first-person shooting games, but I think it's pretty obvious that will be the biggest game of next quarter. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Hands down.
But for me, personally, it's Tales of Exilia 2. I love this franchise. Tales of Exilia to me is kind of like RPG comfort food. Like, every game is kind of the same as far as mechanics goes, but it always feels kind of right. It's kind of interesting. We talked about this a little bit before the show started, about games that just stick to a specific formula. But this one, like, it sticks to its formula, but it still changes it up enough. But the thing is, for me, I like the characters a lot. I think they're really kind of endearing. And this is like Tales of Exilia 2. They don't really have too many sequels in Tales games. Usually like Tales of something or other, you know. So I'm really looking forward to that. I still haven't finished the first one, so I need to finish that so I can jump on this one. But yeah, everything about this, it's going to be great, and I'm hoping this is the final one on PS3, so we could finally get a PS4 version of these games because that would look insane. So yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much my pick. There's no much more to say that because I'm purposely not trying to find out too much information about the game, just so I can stay fresh on it, you know. But yeah, that's my pick for best game of next quarter.
Awesome. I mean, that's going to be a fun game. I remember getting to see that at E3. That was really cool. Just being able to play it, just to check out like some of the stuff. You know, the whole stuff about the DLC being backwards compatible between both versions.
Yeah,
both
that's
Tales
great.
of 1 and 2, which is awesome. The one I'm really excited for, you know, from one Tales fan to another is Tales of Hearts R for the
Yeah,
Vita.
me too, man.
That's going to be awesome. I mean, I can't wait to play that game just for my Vita. It's going to be amazing. But speaking of formulas, since we were kind of mentioned before, and we mentioned Dynasty Warriors and whatnot, let's talk about the games that we all know are going to be pretty bad, or we're predicting are going to be pretty bad next quarter. For me, starting off, again, mentioning Dynasty Warriors, I really have a strong feeling that the new Dynasty Warriors Gundam game, Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn, is going to be pretty much terrible. Because not only did I get to play at 83, and I saw it, and I played all the Dynasty Warriors Gundams games, and I'm telling you right now, if you haven't played any of the Dynasty Warriors Gundams games, you're not missing much of anything at all. You could literally skip like all these games and play this one and not miss a beat, because it is literally the exact same game as previous games in that actual, like, I guess, series, you could say. The only other thing I will mention, because there's also another Dynasty Warriors game called Warriors Orochi 3 coming out next quarter as well. The only reason why I didn't choose that over Dynasty Warriors Gundam is because the Warriors Orochi's games are like spin-off games of the Dynasty Warriors franchise. They usually sometimes have enough stuff in them to kind of mix it up a little bit, even though they're essentially the same exact damn game. With the Dynasty Warriors Gundam series, they really kind of they don't take the whole IP stuff for the Gundam like name, the Gundam IP and the Gundam like, you know, series of like anime and manga and stuff. They could take it a lot more further than what they do. Like, they just have characters that are just thrown in there for the sake of being thrown in there just to say that they're there because of the Gundam name. So I feel like this game is going to be the worst one to come out about that time frame. With that being said, though, Rich, what is your worst game of next quarter? What's your prediction that's going to be terrible?
Well, this is very difficult because I really don't know. One game that I would say is probably going to be somewhat disappointing. I would say I'm going to go ahead and say NHL 15.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, because the thing is this. EA Sports, granted, I know we went to their conference. They showed a lot of interesting stuff. They showed.
And they fed us donuts. They fed us donuts.
Yeah. A lot of.
Yeah, that conference was dope.
That conference was dope. Yeah, that was awesome.
I think that was the first time I actually met you, right, Jay?
When you saw me in person, yeah. When you saw me the day before, but like that was the first time we actually hung out at E3 because we were all eating donuts. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
Oh, go ahead.
let me put an asterisk next to this. I think that the current gen version of that game will be fine, but it's a known fact anytime the EA decides to do a next gen version alongside a console version, as they did last year with Madden, it doesn't turn out to be quite as good. And I do believe that is going to happen for this game. Now, I almost wanted to say the NBA Live 15 will be the worst game coming out, but it's not coming out in September. Because I know that will be, because they didn't even bother talking about that at their conference. But we'll see. I may save that for later. That's only because I can't really think of too much else that, based on what I know is coming out, is going to be disappointing. So I have to say NHL for now. The next gen, not the regular version, the next gen version.
Damn, you pissed off a lot of hockey fans just now. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh no, it's fine.
Some hockey fans. But anyway, Gary, what is going to be your most disappointing game of next quarter?
It was a tough one to pick, and I got to apologize to you, JJ, but I'm gonna go with Hyrule Warriors. And
don't apologize to me. That's going to be. I agree. You know, it's that Dynasty Warriors formula.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm going for this is basically because like everyone wants a new Zelda game, and this just seems kind of like a cock tease a little bit because it's like, we want a Zelda game, and you're giving us this Dynasty Warriors knockoff with Zelda in it. Like, why are you doing this? It's like torture for a lot of people. But saying that, I'm sure there's some fun to be had with the game because I mean, who doesn't like just slashing a bunch of enemies like that? It's fun for at least a few minutes at a time. So, I'm sure some people will enjoy it. But for me personally, I just feel like this game's kind of pointless a little bit. But that's
I
just
really do hope. That game is better than the average Dynasty Warriors Gundam game or Dynasty Warriors game in general. In all honesty. With that being said, though, Tony, your most disappointing game of next quarter. What's your prediction? Which one's going to be so terrible that we're not going to want to buy?
Hey, we're gonna bookend this shit, man. You started with Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn. That's what I'm picking too, dude. I do not like these games, man. Like I know Gary said like it's fun to beat the shit out of enemies for a few minutes. That's the problem. For a few minutes, and after that, you're just like just hitting the fucking button, same button over and over and over and over again. It gets so boring. I played a little bit of the first two Dynasty Warriors Gundams games, so I'm like, okay, this has got to be good at least, right? No. It's just the same fucking formula. You against a million like other robots. By the way, the anime never even had that many robots in it, mechs and stuff. Like, how the hell did they have so many of them to kill? It makes no sense. That's going to be easily the shittiest game. That one and honorable mention to Hyrule Warriors. That's going to be shit too. And any game that uses that engine is going to be shit. Sorry, I'm just saying it.
that's that Dragon Guard 3 review talking.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, yeah, that's that game. I know I'm going to stay away from it myself, but that's easily going to be the worst game, and Hyrule Warriors is going to be second worst game.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of got to agree with you guys on this because, I mean, I got to play it at E3, and literally it is almost the exact same thing as Dynasty Warriors. Like, almost right down to the little details, other than maybe the Zelda fanfare. And I think Gary's onto something where everybody's clamoring for that new Legend of Zelda game, which we got kind of teased at E3 during their Nintendo Live show, their Direct. But this is kind of like the same thing like I mentioned before with Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. It's just a thing to hold us down to say that we got a game until the actual real game comes out. So when it drops, we'll be good. But for now, we gotta deal with this. With that being said, anybody got some quick honorable mentions, like quick 1-2 word descriptions of the game that coming out next quarter that they want to see succeed? I guess mine,
yeah.
If I had to really mention really quickly, would have to be the new Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition. Guacamelee was an awesome game. I got to check it out on the PS Vita and the PS3. It was amazing. I think that this one's going to be just as good. So, quick fire, Rich.
Yeah. I actually played Guacamelee. It's fun. It's good. As for the game that I think honorable mentions, man, I don't know. I'm hoping that Wolf Among Us ends off strong. I'm hoping that Walking Dead ends off strong. I'm pretty sure Walking Dead will end off strong, though. And of course, I hate to say this, but I have to confess, as I confessed on the last podcast, I don't care what anybody says. I'm getting Last of Us again on PS4. It's gonna be great.
Yes, I was gonna say that too. I'm like, I want that game.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Nice, Gary. Quick fire, quick honorable mention. What do you got?
Okay, yes. Since I didn't say it, I will go Destiny. Because a lot of money's been put into this game. A lot's riding on it. It's Bungie's new game and everything, multi-platform. And I played it at E3. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting the final product and seeing what's good with it. And I believe it will impress a lot of people. I believe we'll be playing it months down the line after it comes out and still having fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. So Tony, quick fire honorable mention. Which one do you think is should be worth mentioning real quickly?
I'll actually want to mention Ultra Street Fighter 4. That's coming out for retail in August for the consoles. I'm a big Street Fighter fan. I love Street Fighter, and I'm actually looking forward to jumping back in. And yes, I am part of the problem. I buy every iteration of Street Fighter. I'm one of those guys. And another quick one to Last of Us, because Last of Us was an amazing game. I'm looking forward to it. It's funny. I should mention this. I never actually bought the game. Someone gave it to me, so I'm not actually double dipping. I'm just buying it for the first time.
I know. I just know. Just know.
And yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
No, it's just no. Just no. You were part of the problem, indeed.
Dude, you're right. It's like I'm part of the problem when it comes to Street Fighter and part of the problem when it comes to remakes. It's like, I'm sorry, people. It was me.
Remakes I could deal with because at least Last of Us Remaster is not only getting all the DLC from was it Left Behind and such, but it's getting
amazing.
Looks amazing. It looks real crisp and clean on the PS4 from the stuff that we saw at the Sony conference. But Ultra Street Fighter 4, man, come on, B.
Sorry, I'm apologizing.
I expect that from Gary. I expect that from Gary over here.
Me, really?
Yes, really. Like,
I know you. I'm bad at fighting games. I wouldn't buy all those games, man.
Anyway, I guess that this is a good way to kind of end up this the quarterly report. We'll definitely be back with another episode at the end of next quarter to kind of see not only if our predictions were right, but to see what games like really tickled our fancy and which games are going to be even better the following quarters. So from everybody here, from the coalition, and thanks again to Tony over at Dualshockers, we will talk to you guys again real soon. Peace out. Stay epic, everybody.
Peace.
Later, people.